Hello students, a very good morning to you. In our last class we have completed our chapter 7 and today I am going to teach you a new chapter, that is chapter 8 of class 11, cell, means the unit of life. In this class I will just give you the introduction of cell, what is a cell made up of which type of cells we know, who are the scientists who did their efforts to find out different type of cells. Okay. So let's understand in detail. First, cell. As our chapter is cell, so let's understand what is a cell. In simple terms, we can say that cell is the structural and functional unit of every living organism. If you look around you, then you will find two type of organisms. One is living and another is non-living. All the living organisms made up of cells, either similar type of cells or different type or dissimilar type of cells. Okay, so the cells that are performing different activities inside our body, those functions performed by our cell is exactly performed by organ systems, means the organs present in our body. We will understand it in detail later. First, you try to know that cell is the structural and functional unit. Why this is called structural and functional? Because it not only gives the structure to the organism but also performs the functions that is done in the body of organism to keep itself alive. Okay students, so simply we can say or we can define that cell is the thing which is found inside the living organism's body. As we know, non-living organisms have no cells. They are made up of molecules and atoms, etc. So, here in the introduction, I will tell you about some scientists who have discovered cell, then plasma membrane, nucleus. Some of them gave the hypothesis about cell theory and other concepts of cell. So, the first scientist is Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Clear students? Anton von Leeuwenhoek is the person or is the scientist who discovered live cell in the plants. Clear? He is a botanist and first time he found live cells in the plant. Here you have to remember the name of scientist. You can see here I only write the name of scientist who have done a great job to discover different type of cells. Next scientist is Robert Brown, who discovered the nucleus. As we know, inside the cell there is a membrane bound structure is present which is called nucleus and that carries the genetic material. Clear? And the genetic material is DNA. So inside cell nucleus is present, inside nucleus chromosome is present, and then inside chromosome DNA is present, and inside DNA gene is present. So gene is the smallest unit of heredity or which carries the hereditary characters from parents to their offspring. So first time in Robert Brown. Clear students? It is Robert Brown who discovered nucleus that found inside a cell. Next, in 1838, Matthias Schleiden find the plant cell. He is a botanist. Remember student, here in the cell theory which we are studying now, some are botanists, some are zoologists, some are microbiologists. So here Matthias Schleiden was discovered plant cell. He was also discovered plant cell and he is a botanist, means who studied about plants and plant parts. Next is Theodor Schwann, who discovered the animal cell. Remember students, plant cell is discovered by Matthias Schleiden and animal cell is discovered by Theodor Schwann. Clear? The scientist is Schleiden and Schwann. Clear? One found plant cell and discovered plant cell and another scientist discovered animal cell. He is the botanist whereas he was the zoologist. He also find that the animal cell have a special structure which covers the cell and he named that as plasma membrane. As we know that plasma membrane is the outer layer of animal cell. That's why he also found the plasma membrane which covers the animal cell. And he also said that all the living organisms, means including plants and animals. Plant and animals body is composed of cells, and this is called the hypothesis hypothesis of Theodore Stern. Clear, students? Next, cell theory is given by both Matthias Claydon and Swan. Students, remember here the cell theory together given by both the scientists, means Claydon and Swan. They gave the cell theory, and according to the cell theory, they do not, or they are not able to explain how the cells are formed. Although they gave the cell theory, but they can't explain how the cells are formed. They only found the cells, but they are unable to say that how the cells are formed. Like nowadays we are able to, or we know that cells are formed by dividing the original cell. Means single cell divides into two cells. Like this you can say your one cell divides into two cells. So they although gave the cell theory, means you can write here cell theory is given by was given by Claydon and Swan, but they doesn't explain how cells are formed. Is that clear? Then next scientist come in 1855. In 1855 the scientist is Rudolf Virchow. Rudolf Virchow is the scientist who gave the theory of omnis cellulae cellula. Omnis cellulae cellula. Clear? Is that clear? This is come in 1 mark question in your NEET exams, that what is omnis cellulae cellula. This is given by the scientist Rudolf Virchow in 1855, and according to him cells divide and new cells are formed from pre-existing cells. Means here both the scientists are failed to get the theory that how cells are formed. Next time Rudolf Virchow said that new cells are formed from the pre-existing cells, and he named the theory and the process as omnis cellulae cellula. You can see here omnis cellulae cellula. Clear? And he modified Claydon and Swan's hypothesis on cell theory and give two postulates. One is living organisms composed of cells and cell products. He gave his first postulate that all living organisms composed of cells and cell products. Means as we know, inside cell different cell organelles are present which are doing different functions for the cell, like endoplasmic reticulum, cytoplasm, ribosomes, nucleus, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, microbodies, etc. etc. So he said that living organisms composed of cells and cell products, means inside the cell there is also some chemical reactions takes place due to which the cell is able to perform various functions or activities. Next postulate was all cells arise from pre-existing cells. Means cells are not directly arise, they arise from pre-existing cells. Means one cell divides to give two or more cells. That is how cells are formed. Next theory, he was told about that as we see different type of cells, means plant cells and animal cells, they are also composed of different materials. Like for example, if cell membrane is made up of proteins, then the cell wall, which is only the exceptional character which differs from animal cell. In case of plant cell, there is a cell wall which is made up of cellulose. Means here the different type of cells we know is composed of different substances or different things. That is either made of proteins, lipids, fats, cellulose, hemicellulose, pectins, etc. So this is about the cell theory which is modified by Rudolf Virchow, and his theory was omnis cellulae cellula. Omnis cellulae cellula. You should have to remember omnicellulae cellula. Next, the cells we can see in different plants and animals are of different types. As we know, there are two different type of cells. One is prokaryotes and another is eukaryotes. One is prokaryote and another is eukaryote. You can see here prokaryote. Again, I want to tell you one thing. If the organism is made up of, if the organism has a single cell, then it is called unicellular. You know about it. Am I right? Next, if the organism is made up of many cells or multi-cells, then it is called multicellular. Again, on the basis of the membrane bound structure of the nucleus, all the cells are divided into two types. One is prokaryote and another is eukaryote. Here, prokaryote and another is your eukaryote. Pro means first, karyon means nucleus. They are the organisms having only nucleus, lacks nuclear membrane and cell membrane. Is that clear, students? Next, eukaryotes. Eu means true and karyon means nucleus. Eu means true and karyon means nucleus. So here the organisms having true nucleus means the main difference, we can differentiate the eukaryotes from prokaryotes, that prokaryotes lacks nuclear membrane, means prokaryotes lack nuclear membrane, but eukaryotes have nuclear membrane. Instead of the nuclear membrane, there are also some cell organelles which have membrane bound structure, as well as some cells are lacks the membrane bound structure. If we see the membrane bound structure that present inside a cell, you think a cell has a covering, again the organelles present inside the cell again has covering. If the organelle has not any covering, then they are considered as lack of membrane. If there is a covering, they are having the membrane. So here is the organelles which have cell membranes, like your endoplasmic reticulum. Then second one is your Golgi complex. Then third one is your lysosomes. Fourth one is your mitochondria. Fifth one is your microbodies and vacuoles. Students, you can see here, they are the organelles inside the cell which have a separate or particular membrane bound structure. Endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, lysosome, mitochondria, microbodies and vacuoles. They are the organelles found inside the eukaryotic cells. Remember, in eukaryotic cells have membrane bound structure, means they are separately bounded by a membrane, means they are not scattered and they are not attached to any other organelles inside the cell. Again, cytoplasm is the substance which forms or gives the shape to the complete cell. Cytoplasm is semi-fluid like structure. You can see they are like this. If the cell of the size we determine, that is due to presence of the cytoplasm, as it is formed in or found in semi-liquid or semi-fluid form, so it gives the shape to the cell, and inside the cytoplasm the cell organelles are present. Either they have the membrane bound structure or they have not. Is that clear, students? Again, we can see here some organelles which lacks membranes, or we can say as they are non-membrane bound structures. They are ribosomes. Ribosomes are also like cytoplasm. They are also granular structures present inside the cytoplasm. Sometimes they free and sometimes attached with the endoplasmic reticulum. We will study about endoplasmic reticulum and ribosome in later class. First, you here just understand that ribosome is a non-membrane bound structure. Ribosome is a non-membrane bound structure, and that is either freely or attached with the endoplasmic reticulum inside the cell. So this ribosome is non-membrane bound structure both in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Students try to understand. Prokaryotes, if their nuclear is not membrane, nuclear has not membrane, then how the other cell organelles have membrane? So they lack, all the organelles lacks nuclear membrane. Clear? But here ribosome not only non-membranous structure in the prokaryotes, it is but also the non-membranous structure in the eukaryotes. Is that clear? So cytoplasm here prokaryote and eukaryote both are, ribosomes are non-membrane both in those organisms. Cytoplasm and also found in, they are found in cytoplasm also, and also found in chloroplast, rough endoplasmic reticulum and mitochondria. Is that clear, students? Non-membrane bound structure, which I have told you now, that they are non-membrane bound structures not only found in the prokaryotes, they are but also found in the eukaryotes, and they are present in the cytoplasm and also found in the chloroplast and rough endoplasmic reticulum and mitochondria. Means they have special membrane bound structures, and within these structures ribosomes are found. Here I want to explain you that ribosome not only found in the cytoplasm but also found in some other cell organelles present inside the cell separately, that is in the chloroplast, rough endoplasmic reticulum and mitochondria. Means these organelles also contain separate ribosome in their membrane bound structure. Clear, students? So if I give you some examples of cells, then the smallest cell and the largest cell, we know mycoplasma is the smallest cell till known. Its length is 0.3 micrometer. Remember, students, mycoplasma is the smallest cell. Mycoplasma is the smallest cell whose length is 0.3 micrometer. This is the smallest cell, and this is also I have told you in chapter 2 that mycoplasma also causes many diseases to plants and animals. They are the smallest life or smallest cell ever known. Next, the bacterial cell length is here. You can see here 3 to 5 micrometer. Bacterial cell is 3 to 5 micrometer. Then the RBC, you know about RBC, red blood corpuscles, which is present in our blood. It has the length 10 micrometer, or varies from 7 to 10 micrometer. It varies from 7 to 10 micrometer. Then the nerve cell means neuron is the longest cell. If you saw different type of cell, this is RBC, then you can see this is mycoplasma. The structure of mycoplasma is like this. Then the nerve cell is like this. You know about the nerve cell. This is a nerve cell. Then some plant cells also, you know, this is mesophyll cells. These are the mesophyll cells. These are the columnar epithelial cells you already have studied about. So different type of cells we can see in both plants and animals. And the largest multicellular cell is an egg of ostrich. Egg of ostrich. Largest multicellular cell is egg of ostrich. And the smallest cell is the sperm of human beings, or we can say as sperm of male. Sperm of male is the smallest unicellular cell, whereas the largest multicellular cell is egg of ostrich. Then the longest cell is nerve cell. Here you should remember three things. The largest multicellular cell is the egg of ostrich. The smallest cell inside the human body is sperm cell, which is also called the male gamete, and the nerve cell means the neuron is the longest cell in our body. So student, for today this is all about your introduction to cell. In the next class we will study detail about the different type of Cells means prokaryotes and eukaryotes.